Well, I've got several folks going to be joining me here on the chancel steps now, some from the chancel and some from the congregation. Come on down, all of you, or up, or whatever this is. Excellent. Anyone else joining us here? All right, very good. I'm going to hand this microphone to Linda to begin with. So what we want to talk about this morning is an outgrowth of our SERVE initiative in Vision 2020. And in case you've fallen asleep lately and forgotten, Vision 2020 is our strategic plan that is leading us toward the year 2020. And one of the big ideas out of Vision 2020 is that we want to be of service, not only in the church, but also in the community. And please hear this important distinction. George says it this way: there is church work, and there is the work of the church. And we want to validate both of these things as important extensions of our faith. And so we have here a representative group, I think, of members of our congregation: Steve Connor, and Linda Gelzer, and Carolyn Murray, and Kirk Newsom, all with different areas of interest, and some with areas of service inside the church, some with areas of service outside the church, and some both. And so just we'd like to get a little sampling of this. Linda, let's start with you, and then we'll go to Steve and come back around. What are or have been some areas of service that you've involved yourself in?
Well, some of the ways that I'm serving currently, Mark, are mostly in the church, and I serve as a Stephen minister, and that's been a real blessing to me and hopefully those I've worked with, but also with organizing the prayer ministry here at Wilshire. But one of the favorite things I did when I first came to Dallas, I was looking for a way to just kind of get a feel for the community, and I volunteered an hour a week at a 7th grade school in DISD, tutoring students in English, not those who don't speak English, but those who need help with their grammar and all those things. And I worked with a teacher who was a PhD in English. She was teaching 7th grade in DISD, and that was a real treasure to work with her. But just taking students out of class for an hour and working with them in the library, and it was really cool.
Great. As you're passing the microphone to Steve, let me say a word about Stephen ministry in particular, and what a valuable ministry this is to the church, and also to me as a minister. To illustrate this very week, I had a woman call me in distress, needing someone to talk to. The particular day she wanted to come in, I had a 30-minute window of opportunity and offered that to her, and she called me back. She said, "I really need more than 30 minutes. And I said, would you come and let me hook you up with a Stephen minister? Because I think this is someone who could walk with you and along the way. Thank you for that service that really does extend the work of the church in so many ways." So Steve, man, I could list 1,000 ways you serve in the church and the community, but give us your top 2 or 3.
Well, Sheila and I have been here a long time, so we've been exposed to a lot, and we've had a lot of opportunities. But most recently, I serve on the Building and Grounds Committee, and in that capacity was asked to serve on a temporary committee, which has been said to me several times before, and these temporary committees turn out to be a little more than temporary. But they asked me to serve on this temporary committee to look at the feasibility of converting the 4 single-family dwellings that Wilshire owns on Springside right next to the church, and determine what it would take to bring them up to some kind of standard that would be worthy of our pastoral residents. So that committee met, and we made a list of everything that would need to be done. And as a general contractor, I gave the group some ideas of what it would cost, and I will never forget one of the members of the committee said, "Now double it."
But we didn't have to.
But we didn't have to.
In large part because of your work, Steve. Thank you very much for that, indeed. Well, while we're passing the microphone down the way here, if you're not aware of what's happened with Resident Row, I can't calculate how much money Steve has saved the church through this. Tens of thousands of dollars in that. And thank you, Steve, for that. Carolyn, you've been around here a while too, and I know you've served on committees and staff positions and so forth, but you also have an important role outside the church.
Yes, right now I spend a lot of my time volunteering in the community and at the local high school and my daughter's elementary school. Tend to take on quite a few volunteer roles, and I enjoy it, and it matches my skill set. But It is. It's a ministry and a service, and you've got to remind yourself it is a volunteer job. I volunteered to do it and keep a graceful attitude.
While we're on that point, when you're serving in the community, are you able to connect the dot to realize that this is a part of your Christian service as well?
Absolutely, and I think you've got to start each day and think, what am I doing today, and who am I going to touch, and can I, show Christ's love to them, whether I'm, handing out a fundraiser at the Choir Booster Club meeting or tutoring an elementary school student.
Great, indeed. All right, Kurt, again, longtime member, lots of places. I know that you have some connections with some other institutions outside Wilshire as well as inside. Tell us a bit of where you've found a place of service.
Well, within the church, I've had the pleasure and the blessing of teaching for about 25 years or so, both in the youth department as well as in the adult department. And that was interrupted for about 9 or 10 months as I was blessed to serve on the pastoral search committee that called George 25 years ago. And that was quite an experience, a positive experience. And had the opportunity, of course, to serve as a deacon in this place of worship and on numerous committees, chairing missions committee, personnel committee, and most recently the risk management committee. As far as mission partners, being involved with Habitat for Humanity, Wilkinson Center, in the North African ministries, having been over there with our sort of local missionary, and disaster relief has been quite a great experience over the years in participating in that ministry as Wilshire's coordinated with numerous groups, including the Texas Baptist Men. Extracurricularly, out of the church, Steve Connor and I, and we're in the same fraternity. So one of my jobs was to keep him in the straight and narrow. And then also had the ability to, in the last few years, to be associated with some business opportunities that have allowed me to speak before significant numbers of people. And through that, I think, provide some salt and light in the world.
Great. So while you have the microphone, we're just going to pass it back this way for one last quick question. We'll start with you and come back this way for efficiency here, right? For each of you, you don't have to do the things that you do. What is it about your faith that compels you to do this? Why are you willing to give your time when you could be home just taking care of yourself?
I think most people want to be involved in something greater than themselves. And there are opportunities out there to do that, but certainly none greater than being involved in the mission of the church. And that's where my primary focus has been over the years, and certainly that's my motivation.
Great.
I think for me, a lot of times I tend to take the jobs or the volunteer opportunities that match my skill sets, and those are rewarding, and I know I can do a good job and be productive at those, but sometimes the ones that really get you and grab you are the ones that push you and are a little out of your comfort zone, maybe preteen camp, but but those end up being the most rewarding, and so I just think it's keeping an open mind and going to things that you know that you can add value to, but then also looking for that opportunity every now and then that is a little out of your box.
Great.
I have to echo what Carolyn said. One of the things I've done is offer my voice talent and script writing talent for videos, Healing Hands. But again, it's something that I did in a former career. I love to do it, and it's something I can do to give back that hopefully will help with fundraising efforts or whatever. But I've done things as weird as pressure spraying the wood side of a home when we're trying to help get a house up to code in Dallas. I have no idea how to do that. It was pretty scary, but I could do it. So sometimes it's getting yourself out of your comfort zone, but knowing too that it's just those little things that can help somebody else. And I think that's where I get the most joy. Getting dirty, getting out of an office, getting my hands dirty. I think that's fun for me.
Steve?
I can teach you those things.
I know. I was just saying you could put me on a cruise somewhere, I'm sure.
As my daughter-in-laws and grandchildren say often, Pops can fix it. It's a blessing, but sometimes it's a pressure. But I serve because I enjoy it. I love giving back to people and sharing the talents and skills that I've been blessed with. And I grew up in a household that my parents were always giving, as has Kirk and Carolyn, and I'm not sure about you, but I know working on a Habitat house with my dad side by side, I had trouble keeping him off the roof when he was over 80. So it's, I don't know if it's genetic or not, but serving is very rewarding. And if you could have been around the houses over the last 6 weeks, and especially this past week when the residents were moving in, and see the pure joy, excitement, and gratitude that they have shared with me, it's rewarding enough. I mean, they are truly grateful for what Wilshire has been able to do for them, and that's just great.
Well, thanks to each of you, and please hear our word of commendation to each of you in the congregation as your church. When you do church work and when you do the work of the church in the community, you are the hands and feet of Christ, and we commend you for that and celebrate that with you. And if you've not found your place of service, we'd be glad to help hook you up with one. Thank you so much.